Hi guys, Miss Jamie here, and I'm back with a mystery. This is all about Encyclopedia Brown, Boy Detective. So I'm going to give you a story about something he solves and show you that we have several books on Encyclopedia Brown and see if you're interested and you want to borrow one. So let's get started. Now it happens in America, some people break the law. Many get caught, but few get away. This was not true in Idaville. In Idaville, everyone who broke the law got caught. Aside from catching crooks, 1, 2, 3, Idaville was like any other American town in its size. It had banks, movie theaters, delicatessens. It had rich families, poor families, several miles of sunny beach. And its war on crime, Idaville had Encyclopedia Brown. Encyclopedia's father was Chief Brown, head of the Idaville police force. People were agreed that he was the smartest police officer around. Chief Brown never let out the reason for his success. If he did, who would believe him? Who would believe that the real brains behind the Idaville's wonderful police record was his quiet 10-year-old son? For a year now, Chief Brown had been bringing home his hardest cases. Encyclopedia solved them while eating dinner in the Browns' red brick home on Rover Avenue. Since Encyclopedia had taken to matching wits with criminals, the word had raced through the underworld, stay clear of Idaville. Idaville, big-time gunmen trembled at the mere mention of the town. Encyclopedia never told anybody about the help he gave his father. He didn't want to seem different from the other fifth graders. But he could not do anything about his nickname. Only his parents and teachers called him by his right name, Leroy. Everyone else in Idaville called him Encyclopedia. An encyclopedia is a book or set of books filled with facts from A to Z. Encyclopedia Brown knew all about the American Automobile Association, the Zanzibar Zipper Company, and everything in between. He had read more books than Miss Badcock, the principal of Idaville Grammar School. Encyclopedia did not solve mysteries just in the dining room. During the summer, he offered to solve them in his garage. He wanted to help children in the neighborhood, so he had opened his detective business. Outside the garage each morning, he hung a sign, Brown Detective Agency, 13 Rover Avenue, Leroy Brown, President. No cases too small, 25 cents per day, plus expenses. So let's hear about one of the mysteries he solved. It's the case of the underwater car. When Encyclopedia and his pals went camping overnight in State Park, they had a rule: never take Benny along. Everybody liked Benny during the day, but at night, Benny became public enemy by climbing into bed. He closed his eyes, opened his mouth, and sounded his nose. His snoring shook garage doors up and down the street. "You should take Benny with you this trip," said Encyclopedia's mother. "The last time we took Benny camping," replied Encyclopedia, "the governor closed the state park for 2 days." It was true. Benny's snores had awakened other campers. Frightened, they had reported wild animals in the area. The park had been closed for 2 days while state troopers hunted a bear. Benny's mother bought him a strap, said Mrs. Brown. "It fits under his nose. He sleeps very quietly now." Quietly, thought Encyclopedia, as an elephant choking to death. Nevertheless, he agreed to take Benny. He could not say no after his mother gave him a box of cotton. "You can stuff your ears," Mrs. Brown said. "There's enough for everyone." After lunch, Encyclopedia biked down to Mill Creek. Benny Breslin was already there, and so were the other boys of the gang: Charlie Stewart, Fangs Liverright, Pinky Plummer, Herb Stein, and Billy and Jody Turner. They reached the state park 2 hours later. Most of the best camping sites were taken. The only good spot left was on the small hill overlook. This is the boys going down to go fishing. There's a bend in the dirt road. Beyond the road, about 40 feet below, the ocean. The boys unpacked their bicycles, pitched their tents, and went down to the ocean with their fishing poles. By nightfall, no one expected Benny to hook any fish big enough to keep. Benny had caught 7 beauties. Fish are great music lovers, he explained. Just sing them a scale. Ah ha ha. He had caught 3 fish humming The Muffin Man and 4 humming Rockabye Baby. However, Encyclopedia noticed Benny was the only boy using shrimp, not worms, for bait. It has to be the bait, thought Encyclopedia. Benny's singing is even worse than his snoring. Charlie Stewart got a fire blazing and Pinky Plumber fried the fish. After eating, the boys sat around the fire talking about baseball for 3 hours. Then they turned in. Encyclopedia had Benny for a tent mate. Benny laid down in his bedroll, bare-faced. Haven't you forgotten something? Said Encyclopedia, horrified. My strap, cried Benny, feeling his nose. I left my strap at home. Well, it doesn't matter, said Encyclopedia bravely. He did not want to hurt Benny's feelings by passing out the cotton before Benny was asleep. In no time at all, Benny began to snore for all he was worth. Encyclopedia opened the box of cotton and gave it to each boy. They plugged their ears. It didn't help. Looks like a long night, moaned Charlie Stewart. Benny's given it with both nostrils. Encyclopedia laid down with his ear next to Benny's ear. He reasoned that he was thus as far from the terrible snorts, sneezes, and rasps as Benny himself, and Benny was gloriously asleep. Reason, however, with no match for Benny's nose. After half a minute, Encyclopedia squirmed to the far side of the tent and groaned quietly. One by one, the boys fell asleep from sheer weariness. By 2 o'clock in the morning, Encyclopedia's ears felt black and blue. He pocketed his flashlight and went out for a walk in the cool night air. As he reached the dirt road, a car suddenly appeared. It moved slowly. Encyclopedia stopped and observed the car from behind a tree. The road curved, but the car continued straight on. The driver jumped out of the car, crashed through the railing. He watched the car roll towards the ocean. Then he smoothed a place in the dirt and laid down. Help, he hollered. Help, my back! Somebody help me! Several campers rushed from the woods and crowded around him. Encyclopedia walked to the point where the car had gone off the road and flashed his light down the rocky slope. The car had stopped halfway down between the road and the ocean. It rested at its top, and it's a complete wreck. About the only things undamaged were the 4 worn-out tires. They still spun in the air. All at once, the rocks beneath the car gave way. The car slid into the water and disappeared below the surface. The driver's name is Matthew Starr, said Chief Brown at dinner that evening. He claims he fell asleep at the wheel, woke up just in time to escape going off the road with his car. I told you what really happened, protested Encyclopedia. You were the only witness, said Chief Brown. Mr. Starr's lawyer will say it's dark and you were not fully awake. Someone ought to shove his lawyer into a pup tent with Benny Breslin, muttered Encyclopedia. The car was brand new and cost $6,000, said Chief Brown. Mr. Starr wants the insurance company to pay him for it. But more important, he says he hurt his back in the accident and can't work anymore. A doctor can prove he's faking his injury, said Encyclopedia. I'm afraid not, said Chief Brown. Bad backs are kind of an injury that can't be disproved. Mr. Starr had a big policy with the insurance company. It will pay him money each month for the rest of his life since he can't work. The insurance company wants you to prove his car was on purpose. Then the insurance company won't have to pay him anything. Is that right? Said Encyclopedia. Yes, replied Chief Brown, but we can't get heavy machinery onto the dirt road to pull the car out of the ocean. Even if we could, I don't know if it would find anything to prove Mr. Starr wrecked his car on purpose. I know, said Encyclopedia. And what had Encyclopedia seen? So what's neat about these stories is that you get to turn to the back of the book and it actually gives you how Encyclopedia figured out the mysteries. So I'm going to give you a second and see if you know what Encyclopedia knows. And then I'm going to read you the solution. Okay, guys, ready? The solution to the case of the underwater car. Encyclopedia had seen 4 worn-out tires on Mr. Starr's car. The car, however, was brand new. Mr. Starr had outsmarted himself. He removed the new tires in order to sell them, and then he put the old tires on the car and wrecked it. He had chosen a spot where the car could not be recovered from the ocean. He thought no one would find out, but he had not counted on Encyclopedia. Acting on Encyclopedia's information, Chief Brown had divers bring up the old tires. When he saw them, Mr. Starr confessed. Did you guys get it? Okay, well that's one of the stories in Encyclopedia Brown. This one is Encyclopedia Brown Gets His Man. There's a bunch of short stories. And then we have another one, Encyclopedia, The Case of the Midnight Visitor. And then Encyclopedia, The Case of the Mysterious Handprints. Now each book has quite a few mysteries. So if you're interested, we still do call in and pick up on Wednesday and Friday. Sorry, you guys. And we can put them on hold for you, or you guys can come pick them up in the library. There's other selections too if you want to take a look. I hope you liked today's story. Thanks so much for coming in. Bye.